Teaching a novice to drive can be a very daunting experience. Hi, I'm Ian Luff, the principal and founder of Drive to Survive. Back in 1983 when I established the company, roads were definitely a lot quieter. The parent program that we've put together is designed to help you become a better coach and teach your novice driver the latest skills and tactics to drive to survive. So, how about we show you a few safe tips? Let's get started. There are certain legal requirements in relation to the logbook, so let's find out what those requirements are from our senior driver trainer, Mr. Scott Buckton. So Scott, the Learner Driver Handbook, it's a very important part of the coaching process. Just tell me a bit about what parents have to do.
They have to make sure that each trip is logged with their hours and kilometres, and there's also a few goals at the front that make sure they need to be signed off on as well. Okay,
so that's the parent's responsibility.
Absolutely.
When you first start out coaching, can I suggest you don't experiment with learner driving in a shopping centre such as this. It'll put a huge amount of pressure on you and your novice driver. This is what is commonly called a nursery area. For obvious reasons, it's a perfect spot for learner drivers to start off. No other cars around, plenty of space to help your novice driver gain that important thing called confidence. Before your learner driver gets behind the wheel and even takes off, there's three basic things we have to look at. One, seating position. Secondly, steering. And then most importantly, the outside part of the vehicle, which are the mirrors. But as we know, before you even start the engine, you must have your seat belt on. So, very simply, seats have adjustment. We need to be able to reach the pedals comfortably, so get the seat adjusted. If you're lucky enough to have height adjustment in the steering wheel, in and out and so forth, just make sure that your driver is comfortable. It's very important. Hands equally apart on the steering wheel. There are a lot of old myths about hands up on the top of the wheel. Most new vehicles have airbags. If an airbag deploys, you don't want the hands anywhere near it. So simple fact is, hands equally apart on the steering wheel. Last but not least, the outside part of the vehicle. Mirror adjustments. We need to have the mirrors adjusted so that your novice driver can actually have spatial awareness and see what's going on around them. One of the best driver competencies that you as a coach can pass on to your student is called commentary driving. Seeing and speaking out loud as to what's happening. How about we get Scotty to demonstrate what commentary driving is all about? Okay, Scotty, show us how commentary driving works.
Okay, well I'll kick straight into it. We've got a truck on our left hand side, we've got a car that's way too close behind me. We're in a 70 zone at the moment, so I'm just doing a quick speed check. I'm doing 55, we're rolling through a green light. I'm just going to check right and check left. We've got a nice big gap ahead of me there. Just a quick mirror check down the side. Got a Volvo rolling up beside me, got a nice big gap ahead. Quick mirror check, a speed check. Rolling up to a green light, just checking out to the right hand side to make sure that there's no one going to run a red. We've got a red light ahead of us, so I'm just rolling off the gas now and reducing the speed gently. A quick little mirror check, speed check 40, just rolling up to the red light now and just allowing us to be gentle on our roll up there. Got a car approaching from the right hand side, up on the right hand side here. A nice gentle squeeze on the brake pedal, allowing a nice big gap in front of me there, so if the truck happens to roll back, he doesn't get us.
Wow, there's so much to take on board.
Absolutely.
Now, what you're doing is externalising what you're seeing.
Yeah.
So are you suggesting then that the coach, in this case here, they should be then working that principle and getting their student to actually speak out loud as to what they're seeing? Absolutely,
because what it does is a driver does this stuff inside their own head as an experienced driver. When you start to verbalise it, it really does hammer home how much is happening outside. Is the student missing what's happening outside? Is the student seeing what the supervisory driver is seeing?
Okay, so from my eyes, being the parent sitting in this seat here, I could actually see it, and I could be assuming that my student has actually seen it when in fact they mightn't have.
Yep, because it just doesn't compute with a young brain sometimes.
Okay, so just take me through the process again, but you might have to slow it up a little bit because I just didn't realise how much you were taking on board. So Take us through it again, what you're seeing at the moment.
So I'll slow it down just a little bit. So we've got a nice big gap ahead of us there, more than a 3-second gap. I've got a car approaching and heading up my right hand side. He's overtaking me. I'm just doing a quick speed check there. It's a 70 zone. We just have to stay under the speed limit. So I'm doing 62 at the moment. But if I go any faster, I end up compromising the gap in front of me. A quick little mirror check again. We've got a few cars approaching from behind there. My eyes are at the top of the hill, just monitoring the traffic at the top of the hill.
So you're looking right up as far ahead up the road as the top of the hill?
Yeah, as far as I can see.
Okay, so that's very important that again, that we get the vision lifted and get that student to actually say what they can see.
Start to project their mind and their brain a little bit further down the road.
Would that be quite hard for a novice driver to do?
Absolutely, because it's not something that they are aware of. It's not something that they know is good for them to be able to be a proactive driver.
So where we going?
I don't know. Where are we going?
Nanny said, does it start each time? I said, yeah.
Yeah.
A bit musical?
No, just because. Oh, Dad's done it nice. He's parked neat. Like, it's going to go down.
All right. Did you check over your side then? Right.
Oh, you'll be fine. I'm not that bad of a driver.
No.
There's people in the road. Get out.
In all your years of experience, Scott, what would you say to parents that they should be, I guess you could say, looking out for their student drivers?
Well, number one I've found is making sure that they stay vigilant and making sure they stay underneath the speed limit. And the other one would be, don't assume that the student is seeing what the coach is seeing from the passenger seat.
So the coach just doesn't sit here and zip the lip. They do need to speak up.
Yeah, and they need to make sure that they kind of keep on, and exactly the word that we use, coach, instead of just sitting there like you said and zip the lip and just be a passenger.
So definitely not keeping the seat warm.
No seat warming.
Now, Scotty, what would your recommendation be when we come to roundabouts such as this? Who has right of way? What are we supposed to do?
Yeah, so there's a few misperceptions and conceptions about what's happening on a roundabout. You have to give way to everyone on the roundabout. So there's no real such thing as right of way. You just have to give way to everyone on the roundabout. Now, give way gets a little bit muddled up a lot because a lot of people don't completely understand what give way means. It means that you don't make the other party brake, steer, swerve or deviate their path. A lot of people tend to treat a roundabout like a stop sign.
When approaching intersections, you really must get your novice driver to scan the intersection, looking both left, right, and making sure there are no pedestrians or cyclists. And naturally, when it's safe to do so, give them the advice it's okay to move forward. And don't assume that your driver has actually seen what you're seeing. That's where they must be using commentary driving. As a driver coach, you must be very vigilant when approaching roundabouts, passing on your advice, things to look out for, other vehicles, and make sure that your novice driver is using their indicator to turn on and also as they exit the roundabout. Tailgating is one of the biggest factors that we see on our roads. We must leave appropriate gaps. In fact, the 3-second rule works like this. When the vehicle in front goes past a specific point, you start counting down 1001, 1002, 1003. And if your vehicle reaches that point before you say that, you're travelling too close. As we know, 30% of crashes are nose to tail, rear-ender ones. You can see in these shots here how close and how risky these drivers are. As a responsible parent, if you're planning on teaching your child to drive, there are certain laws that you must obey. I thought we'd catch up with Phil Brooks and find out what we should know. Now, Phil,
Yes, sir.
from a parent perspective, they're going to be driving. What would you be suggesting? What should parents firstly do?
Well, they can't get away with getting their young one to come and pick them up from the pub. So parents can't have had any alcohol while they're supervising, and even these days parents are testing positive to drugs. We've had a parent, supervisor and a learner test positive to drugs. That's just simply not good enough on our roads.
Okay, so what about they've got to carry their licence all times?
Well, some parents have tried to hop in the car and supervise without a licence. They're disqualified or suspended for other things. Again, simply not good enough. They've got to have a full driver's licence to supervise their young one. It can't be a P plate or anything else. It's got to be a full licence to operate safely on our roads.
And obviously learner plates on display front and rear.
Well, that's very important. The police and the other public driving on the roads need to know that that young person is under supervision. On occasion, we see people without any P plates, learners out there trying to go for a drive late at night, not thinking that they'll be detected in a crash. The liability is significant.
Okay, now the final message about monitoring speed. It's pretty important. We know that speed, inappropriate speed for the conditions. What would your final message be to parents about speed monitoring?
Well, sadly, 31 young lives lost between the ages of 17 and 25 on New South Wales roads so far this year. We know that speed is a major factor in serious injury and fatal crashes. Our message is quite clear. Stick to the signposted speed limit, and most importantly, drive to the conditions. If it's raining heavily, we want those learners to wipe off a bit of speed to make sure that they can brake in an emergency situation if they have to.
It is a well-known fact that 95% of motor vehicle accidents can be attributed to human error. With your coaching, hopefully you've improved your driving standard of your novice. But can we suggest that they consider attending the Safer Drivers course, an initiative of Transport for New South Wales? The Ian Love Safer Driving Academy is fully accredited, and I can guarantee it'll not only reduce their hours, but it will make them far more competent. The attached graph will show you that under learner supervision, and that's particularly with yourself, the incident rates on our road is relatively low. However, on red P plates on day one, we see an 800% increase in incidents. That's quite appalling. Could I strongly recommend to you that you get your novice driver, when they get their P plates, to attend our 8-hour defensive driver training program. It could really help them drive to survive. And finally, check out the other videos on this site, particularly the Crash Lab, where they crash vehicles to see how they rate, with 5-star being the maximum. Safe driving.